Yes. So, welcome to Techdive. Today, I'm reviewing the ASUS FX504GM laptop. This laptop costs $699, and you say, well, that's not very cheap. I mean, I can buy a desktop for $400, build it myself. Well, this is a laptop. This is an all-in-one. It's portable, it's light, it's about 5 pounds. It features this brushed aluminum style plastic. It looks like aluminum, it's plastic, but this is the best plastic texture I've ever seen on a laptop. I never thought I'd say that, but basically this doesn't really get fingerprints too easily. It doesn't scratch too easily. It looks pretty sleek. It's got a power port, a RJ45 Ethernet port, HDMI 2.0, USB 2, 2 USB 3s, and an audio headphone jack. The back of the laptop features 2 heat vents. These are actually pretty small, and an interesting thing is that when you open a laptop, the hinges actually kind of cover up these ports, especially if you open it wide. It blocks about 20% of the port coverage, which really lowers your thermal capabilities of the laptop. Front of the laptop features a Chico style keyboard, which is pretty standard. It's backlit with red LEDs, not RGB, and you can change it between 4 different settings: off, low, medium, high. Nothing really special here. The keyboard itself, it's fairly tactile. It's not the worst keyboard I've ever used, but it's also just a laptop keyboard. I've typed on it for hours, did coding. I've played World of Warcraft Classic on it for hours. Not an issue. The key spacing is perfect. One of the best features of this keyboard is the fan key, which basically can change it from silent to balance to boost mode. The silent mode clocks everything down. It's not just a fan speed, it also changes the clocks and power states of the CPU and the GPU. Silent lowers everything down to minimum. If you want to go for long battery life, 5 hours plus, I recommend using that mode. Word processing works fine. Watching YouTube videos, internet browsing works just fine with that. Moving on to like the balance setting. Balance is what I use 90% of the time because it lets you play games at great frame rates. Perfect for editing, perfect for gaming, just regular run-of-the-mill. Just balanced mode. It's the best mode. The fans, they ramp up in balanced mode, especially if you're playing something that hits the GPU and CPU at the same time, like maybe if you're rendering video or playing a video game that's fairly intense. Onto the overboost mode. The overboost mode is the magical button that lets you go from not VR to playing VR on this laptop. This laptop is not rated to play VR. It has a 1063 gigabyte graphics card in it and an Intel i5 8300H. So how does it work for productivity? I edited a 4K video on this and it was fine. I was able to scrub through the footage. This is in Vegas Pro 17, by the way. I was able to scrub through the footage. This is 4K 100 megabit footage shot on that camera that you are currently watching this on through. I don't know. Anyways, you can edit 4K footage on this with no issues. It just works. Scrubbing through it works fine. I was able to render a 4K 2-minute long video with some pretty heavy edits. Nothing incredibly insane, but color shifting, zooming in and out, multiple layers and stuff like that. It took 4 minutes and 45 seconds, which I don't really care too much about render times because usually render times is something you set and forget. So just plug it in, let it render. Moving on to gaming performance. I'm not gonna get really into the benchmarks because it's a waste of your time, my time. Basically, 1080p. This thing is a beast. Pretty much any game you can throw at it, it will play at 1080p, high settings, ultra settings. Crank it up. It is great. Look at the 1060 benchmarks for 1080p, and you will get exactly what you see in those benchmarks for the desktop GPU. But on this laptop. And that's because when I opened this laptop, the craziest thing I noticed is that it is full of copper in the best way possible. So there are massive copper heat pipes going between the CPU and the GPU and both heat vents in the back. And the heat vents themselves are copper fins, which means that they put the most priority into cooling this laptop and the performance of this laptop. While everything else is okay at best or a little bit cut down, they focused on the performance, and that really shows, and it really matters because at this price range something's getting cut out, corners getting cut, and they cut the corners in the right spots. It only features a 256 gig M.2 SATA SSD in it, but there is a spot, a 2.5-inch slot for another SSD or hard drive or whatever you want, but basically 256 is enough to install maybe your 5 most important games. Speakers on this laptop are pretty good. The webcam is the basic cheap webcam. I feel like this is the same webcam that's in every single cheap laptop I've ever seen. The audio quality on it is good enough. Hello, you're seeing a recording from the laptop with the webcam and the microphone. What do you think? in VR, I was able to play Beat Saber. I actually set a new high score on a couple songs, and it kind of blew my mind. It does stutter a little bit. It is not perfect by any means. However, if you want to ensure that you have rock solid performance the whole time, one thing I found is you going to Steam VR, enabling custom resolutions, and setting it to about 80% resolution rate. So, is this laptop for you? Well, I think it checks off every box for a full recommendation from me, and that is it's cheap. It plays VR, which it shouldn't even play VR, but it does, which is pretty amazing. And then it edits 4K video and renders it just fine. It plays video games at 1080p high settings beautifully, and it's not a giant bulky thing. You'd put this into a backpack. It's a 15.6-inch laptop, you know, it's a standard laptop. It does everything. It's cheap. I really don't know what more you want from a laptop except for maybe some more USB ports. That was probably my primary complaint about this thing. It's USB ports, and it's kind of loud. So, thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review. I hope you found it very informative. Please tune in to more videos. We have a whole bunch coming out. Adam's going to be working on the Sony FDR AX100 camera review. I'm probably going to review that camera right there, which is the Sony FX504GM. And then Adam has the Techdive AV Club going. If you are a YouTuber and you want to use Vegas to edit things, both Movie Studio and Pro, Adam has a million tutorials on there. They are amazing. The channel's growing wildly. Go check it out. And then I have Techdive Gaming, which I don't really do too much on. I play City Skylines, a little bit of WoW Classics, a little bit of MMO stuff, and enough plugging stuff. See you next time.